If we're good to go, we're going to get started here. We have the future of construction management. I want to thank everyone for being here. My name's Eric Montes de Oca. I'm president of Grycon LLC, a local South Florida general contractor. I'm also past president of the LBA. I'll serve as moderator today, which will explore the future of construction management, construction operations. I'd like to thank Graybar, whose booth is right behind us over there, for serving as presenting sponsor. And now that I see Bettina, I want to thank her, Gus, and the entire staff, and Tony, our future president, for putting on a fantastic expo thus far. I hope everyone's having a great time. Through our panel, we're going to look through the past. We're going to look mostly into the future of what we have ahead of us, different perspective, different service points. Our panelists today will offer and represent views of that future: logistics, material management and construction, efficiency, autonomy of the construction equipment applications, and artificial intelligence emerging throughout our industry. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel briefly. Introduce our panel: Eric Helitzer, CEO of Subbase; Jose Lopez, manager of Dobbs; Dr. Jose Faria, the chair of FIU's Department of Construction Management. Welcome, Professor. Fermin Vazquez, president of Miami-Dade College North, driving force behind the college's Construction Institute of Artificial Intelligence Department. Before we begin with some questions, I'd like everyone to start from the far right, introduce themselves, and give a brief history about yourself and your company.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for the LBA for having us. My name's Eric. I'm the founder of Subbase. Subbase was born and originated out of South Florida. My career started 15 years ago out of the University of Florida, studied construction management, and immediately began working on the specialty trade subcontractor side at the time, really the tail end of the Miami condo boom. From there, I got a lot of experience on the structural components of what it takes to build, and went from a very large company to a mid-sized general contractor construction management firm called Grycon, where we were really involved in a lot of mid-level, high-rise, and also commercial construction experience. So I saw the inefficiencies of how workflows were streamlining through different orientations, and also really was able to see how technology can help provide a workflow that is helping manage businesses not just grow, but keep up with the times of what's going on in construction. From there, in 2021, I left the business, and with a partner of mine, built software to help streamline the operation of material management and every aspect of that, from requests coming in from the field, automating the PO process, leveraging artificial intelligence to grab invoices, and ultimately streamlining that all back into an accounting system, which is solving major pain points in a $400 billion industry where buildings are becoming more complex to build. The schedule timelines that are being demanded from builders is only getting more stringent, and at a time where labor and material is very hard and difficult to find. So the solution that we created was born out of South Florida, and we are growing in the area, and we are excited to be here to talk more about the future of construction management. So thanks for having us.
Thank you, Eric. Jose?
Yes, hello. My name is Jose Lopez. I'm general manager of Dobbs Equipment for Miami. We currently have around 19 dealerships all around the United States. We recently acquired dealerships in Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And besides John Deere, we are recently representing the brand of Grycon, Telio, that is for automated equipment, and also Topcon, that is regularly used for 3G GPS systems for the machines. Basically, I have like 29 years on the industry. 19 of them has been on heavy mining with Rolls-Royce and the competition. I'm kind of a hands-on guy when it comes to machinery, and first of all, we're glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Doctor?
Hello, my name is Jose Faria. I'm the chair of the Construction Management Department at Florida International University. I'm from Venezuela. I'm originally from Caracas. I'm an industrial engineer. Went to the University of Maryland for a master's in systems engineering. So I love technology. I love automation. I love everything that has to do with software and doing things better and faster. Got my Ph.D. and then came into academia. I've been at FIU since 2006. And it's a pleasure for me to be here today in this wonderful presentation. We do have technology embedded in our curriculum. So we have a bachelor's in construction management, a master's in construction management, and we use technology to teach the future leaders in construction. Thank you, Eric.
Fermin?
Good afternoon, everybody. Eric, thank you for inviting me. Tony, our president-elect, thank you for inviting me. And Gus, I know he's around somewhere, the famous Gus. I'm a local boy, born and bred here, Cuban bred, right, in Miami in the 305. Graduate of Southwest Senior High for any Eagle out there. But right here, graduate from Miami-Dade College and a proud graduate of my partner here from FIU. I got to tell you that as I was invited to this panel, it reminds me of the days of how after graduating college, working in the trade, working outside in the field. And today I use that knowledge to help prepare our students at Miami-Dade College. Very similar to FIU, we embed technology in every single discipline. We were the first to open up our brand new Artificial Intelligence Center with furniture provided by Pradere Furniture. It's a beautiful space. For those out there, Michelle Pradere, thank you so much. And I gotta tell you, it's incredible to see the innovation that occurs naturally in children and students so young. We have many summer camps. We also have a K-12 on site at Miami-Dade College North Campus, and we have a high school on site. And to see all these students converge and work in the Artificial Intelligence Center and what they could ideate and what they could think of doing coming to fruition. And I'll tell you a little short story just to kind of start off our conversation. I had a first year honors college student come to me this year in the fall term. He says, President Vazquez, you opened your door to me and you said, any idea you have, how could I, that I could bring to you? He told me he wanted to build a roller coaster on campus. A roller coaster. I'm like, really? And next thing I know, he goes into our Artificial Intelligence Center, goes into the 3D printing lab, codes a whole roller coaster set, and brings me a week later a mock model of what he wants to build. And that's the type of innovation that we want to bring through education to prepare our students in the future of this community.
That's exciting. I wish I had a roller coaster while I was going to Miami-Dade College. So I'm going to start the questions, and I'll direct the first one to you, Eric. You've answered it somewhat in the introduction, where you're filling a need for vendors and material procurement. So can you expand on how you see that with the subcontractor operations, integrating with database used to estimate, accounting functions? Essentially, how do you see Subbase 2.0 developing?
So there's really three main pillars that the platform and any type of platform is looking to solve for today. And the first one is the ability to streamline a workflow. The second one revolves around connectivity. And then the third one is really data-driven and using the data at every level and every facet of your business to make better decisions. So what we're doing today is we're starting from the pre-construction realm, having the ability to have a bill of materials that comes out of an estimating software or a takeoff software, having the ability to then take that and not just request pricing, but be able to leverage historical information that you have in real time in one place to make better decisions on the next purchase. And so what the platform and what we're trying to do is with that actual streamlined workflow, it gives you the ability now to connect to different sources. The first source that we're connecting to is those accounting systems. Everyone right now in construction is typically running a business maybe off a legacy, outdated, accounting software that maybe provides a function for certain items, but doesn't really connect everything together from the field to your vendors to your operations in accounting, and then ultimately at the highest level, which would be that owner or CFO level who can track budgets in real time against what their material spend is. So where we're headed and where we're taking the industry is we're connecting the sources and connecting the dots that don't exist today because of the disparate forms and channels on how you're communicating. There's data living on everyone's phone, on computers, it's living all over, siloed, and no one has use to it at any level. So once you have the connectivity, the final piece is taking that data and making better decisions for the future of where the building process goes. And right now, we see the complexities of buildings. We see the complexities of finding materials and really finding labor. So pre-planning at the pre-construction level is probably the most important thing you can do. But without the right tools, it's very hard to do that. So once the platform has gotten to a point where we are today and we're connecting with these systems and we have the data, what's really the next place for Subbase, and just where does this all go when it comes to materials? So 40% of businesses right now on the specialty trade side are managing materials, and it's just material cost. The other 60% is being tracked with labor, your overhead, and obviously there's profit at the end of the day. So where we see the platform moving to is being able to not just connect the field, the office, the vendors, and the accounting teams, but really being able to provide on the analytical side, the forecasting of materials, the ability for you to pay, and the ability for you to really connect with anyone and any system that doesn't solve the problems of each individual trade. No matter which trade you're working in, no matter how often you're buying materials, everyone has a different nuance, but there are similarities in how you can streamline the flow. So where we see, the platform down the line and down the future is you're gonna come in, you're gonna look for what material you may need, you're gonna be able to find that material quickly, and you're gonna be able to connect that to not just your accounting system, but your ERP system that you're using to talk to clients, and everyone is going to be able to speak the same language as a single source of truth across the entire industry. So we're really excited about what we've done, and we've got a lot coming, but in terms of the pre-con side, we see a lot of leveraging of data to really make better decisions on future material purchasing.
Thank you, Eric. Very exciting. So as a follow-up, Dr. Faria, Subbase is an example of a tech player inserting themselves in the construction industry. I'd love to hear your take on how technology is taking our industry and services like Subbase and Trimble, which is an affiliation with FIU and is inserting augmented reality in day-to-day building operations. Where will that take us, and can you expand on it?
Yes, Eric, of course. We are very lucky to have a great relationship with Trimble. Actually, I have here today an example of their HoloLenses. This is a device that allows you to see a 3D model right where you're standing. So if you create a 3D model of a space that you want to fill in here, you put this on and you are able to see how the model takes the space. You can walk into it, you can turn off the different layers, see the inside, look for interferences. If you have a pipe coming into a column, you are able to see that before you actually build it. So it's a wonderful tool. Also, our students are able to see in 3D rather than on a drawing that is in 2D. So it gives them a better understanding of what they are trying to estimate, to prepare schedules, to go with quality control. It's just really the next way of educating our students, because that's what they will do in the job.
That's amazing. And how do you navigate? So if I'm on the third floor of a building and I'm looking at a 3D perspective of a structural drawing on verticals that's not there yet, I'm on the working deck, let's say, how do you navigate the views or plans, if you will? Can you switch it while you're wearing it?
Yeah, it's very, very simple. You anchor the model to one point inside the room and you can move around. You can shrink it, you can pull it up, you can pull it down, you can make cuts and sections like you would do with an architectural drawing, but just right in front of you. So you can go in details or out of your model standing right there in front of you.
Wow.
It's a
That's
wonderful
awesome.
technology.
I'd
Yeah,
love to see more about that later.
absolutely.
I have a question for Mr. Jose Lopez here with Dobbs. Construction equipment, it's obviously an integral, large part of our construction industry, and technology advancements as they're progressing as an equipment provider in Dobbs. We've been hearing a lot about artificial intelligence and being part of unmanned excavators and equipment and things of that nature. Can you expand on that and where we're going in the future with all of that?
Yeah, absolutely, and you hit the nail on the head. Having unmanned equipment is where we're actually going. But if there's anything that I'll say today that are the big takeaways of what's going on in the construction equipment industry, one of them is automation, the other one is lower emissions. So on the automation side, already the writing is on the wall that will be there in a few decades. We have already telematics available on machines. We have similar systems to a smart grade system, TopCon already available on the units. And what a TopCon system is able to do is able to provide an automatic grade on a machine when the machine is operating. So basically, the articulation or the, I would say, attachments of the units are somewhat robotized and automatic, and you're able to get a finished product when you're operating the machine. As well, we also have that on excavators, and you're able to move machinery with automatic arm boom movements while an operator is sitting on the machine. And the latest technology that is going to be implemented for automation, and recently we were nominated as authorized vendors of Telio, is going to be the remote control system. We were able to sell around maybe 2 weeks ago 12 units of a retrofit system that is going to be fitted on articulated trucks. And those trucks are going to be manned from a command station from the customer's office, and 100% of the operation will be remote controlled. So the writing's on the wall. We're going to have automation. We're going to have unmanned equipment as we go into the future. And then the second part of where we're going is lower emissions. We've been talking a lot about electric vehicles. Dade recently introduced into the market or unveiled to the market the first electric excavator that is a medium-sized excavator. As well, we introduced a 310 backhoe loader into the market, and we're going to see more of that coming. And in addition to that, you know, for example, on ourselves as a dealer, we're going to be increasing our infrastructure to be able to support the electric vehicles or electric heavy machinery that is going to be on the market. We're also going to be looking at fuel cells, hybrid diesel-electric systems, and of course, we're going to have the same diesel engines. I don't think that diesel engines are going to disappear. We're still going to see diesel for a long time. However, they will have lower emissions that they have now.
That's exciting. How do you see the productivity of an electric versus a diesel, a current excavator, let's just say? Is there a loss in productivity somewhat, even though you're with the increase in efficiency?
I don't expect any loss on efficiency. In fact, I do expect higher efficiencies for many reasons. You know, and we've seen it on electric vehicles today, right? That electric motors tend to have higher torque and higher speeds. We're going to see the same on electric power heavy machinery. But again, you know, the industry of heavy machinery is not going to go 100% at this moment in time to electric power. We're going to have a lot more also development of diesel electric systems, additional hydrogen fuel cells, engines, and as well we're going to have still diesel on the market.
Very exciting. Good things. I'd like to my immediate right here, to Fermin Vazquez, President Vazquez. He's always, you know, as I mentioned in my intro, always looking to prepare our next generation of construction professionals. How do you see AI integrating within the construction industry?
Well, I think, like Dr. Faria said, you know, you'll find that the metaverse, that's one place where we'll be able to realize what that potential site or home or building could look like before it ever gets built. I think that now with the influence of many AI engines like ChatGPT being deployed across the market, you're going to get to a day that you're going to be able to walk at the North Campus, come in front of Sky, which is a hologram that we built at our Artificial Intelligence Center that interacts with students. They'll be able to tell them what they're looking for in a home and generate a set of plans for a potential 3D model home to be built at that site. You know, today, there are so many different technologies that I think that inspire our students to think of what the next generation is. And it inspires so much that it becomes fun for them, right? It creates an engagement point. Now, as it belongs to construction, we're always looking for ways to be more efficient, to making sure that that contractor provides the best bid, right? That's what contractors are looking for, is to be highly competitive. Like Subbase is doing, AI is going to infuse that intelligence. And there are going to be algorithms, there are going to be students in the coding area that are going to have to learn from construction to provide that input so that that software becomes readily available. But it doesn't end at the software, it continues on the hardware side, because there's always something on the other side that has to deliver what you dream of, what you're looking for, right? And to be able to be a convergence of best value. And as much as there are so many different pressures on, if it's supply chain, the cost of goods, things that really impact the base bid on a construction, we have to look at our projects in a different fashion. We have to look for the possibility of being able to create revenue opportunities from our existing construction projects. Today, you know that there's many technologies out there. Solar panels have been there for a very long time. There's e-glass now, not to create solar shading on and reduce the amount of HVAC that you need in a building, but actually to collect energy and place that back on the grid. Like that, one of the latest projects I've seen in my neighborhood, there's a Burger King. I welcome you guys to go to that Burger King on Burr Road and 137th, and they built a parking lot with a solar farm right over it. And I thought, how innovative. And then they give their clients free charging right under that solar grid. So this is the type of innovation that we're gonna have to create, and AI is gonna be there to answer the calling. Our job is to make sure that we get that information to the industry, to get that information out to our students so that they're ready for the workplace of tomorrow.
That's interesting. So as far as something along the lines of like 3D printing as an example, right? Do you see 3D printing possibly producing construction materials? And if so, like to what scale? Where can 3D printing or 3D modeling take us? Not modeling, printing.
Printing. It could take us to a whole lot. And today, very similar to my counterpart, I brought some stuff that our students made.
You brought me a pair of shoes.
Yeah. So this is a box made from a 3D printer, right? Branded AI. And inside that, I just found out last week we were doing this, and I said to our students, figure out what you could do in a week. And this was our students from doing cup holders, to creating little sharks, and like that, you could create parts. But it goes beyond that. Today, I'm sure many of people have seen what we've been able to do with 3D printers in construction. It doesn't stop at a storage unit. It doesn't stop at a home. It continues on to buildings. There's already several facilities right here in the U.S. I know Europe has been a little ahead of us, and the UAE, there's also a lot of construction right now happening with 3D printing. But I say this is the race to 3D printing in South Florida and in the construction industry. Because Eric, I'm sure you remember the day that tilt-up construction was everywhere. Yeah. And TiltCon was one of those companies, remember that race to the edge, and was really trying to get all those jobs. Like that, I challenge the construction industry. Who's going to be the pioneer in our community to have the first NOA on either a home, a community, or a mid-rise building built with a 3D printer, where you're plopping up your equipment, you're setting up your drawings, and then trades are not going anywhere. They're just modifying the way that they're looking at that project. They're making sure that there's the right equipment to leave sleeves for a future passage. They're looking at where they're going to run their piping through and really have the opportunity to create a solid structure. Because one thing about South Florida we all know is hurricanes, right? And we all know that infamous NOA that we need to have a building to be certified. But what if the interior walls were also made out of cement and concrete, right? These make these structures so much more strong and impactful and have a greater quality and longer life. So I see that 3D printer right now that sits on a shelf or sits in a big room creating parts and components. But in the near future in South Florida, I'm sure that there'll be somebody out there that's going to start building buildings and communities with using those modern 3D printers today.
That's awesome. And thanks for bringing that as well. I'd like to switch to Eric real quick and ask you, imagining that in the future software such as yours could direct connect with automated manufacturers to increase efficiencies even more and perhaps provide real-time updates to construction professionals as to the status of manufacturing, correct? Can you briefly, because we're going to be running out of time, describe that and how you see that?
Yeah, so how construction management is going to look down the line, and this is really looking not too far out, but really looking into a couple of years down, is everything right now is siloed even at the manufacturer level. So if I have glass that's being created over in Colombia and I want to see what's going on and I want real-time updates, I'm typically waiting for someone to send me a photo, someone to send me an update via text or email, and then I get that and I have to trust that that was actually done. The way that technology is going to work, and back to the connectivity, is everything feeds into one system where those systems are talking back to each other and providing real-time updates. But the updates are going to occur at each level of the party stakeholder who cares about that certain aspect of that process. So for example, in the field, I'm a superintendent and I want to know where, from maybe the manufacturer, my glass is, or where, a piece of material is. Right now, the systems work where you can see that GPS truck tracking, but the problem is there's no infrastructure to give the superintendent the ability to press a button and see exactly where that is. Eventually, that is going to happen, but there's not enough infrastructure yet to connect all the systems. And by slowly teaching the younger generation that's coming into the industry, and by bringing more attention to it, that is how all the systems will connect from the manufacturer's level to the superintendent level, and then back to an accounting level or an owner level at the operations of the construction company, to give full visibility upstream and downstream. So to answer your question, I think it's time. It's just a matter of connecting the systems.
That's awesome. And I remember the days of waiting on concrete trucks and you have no idea where they are, whether they're stuck in traffic on 826 or, so it's exciting to know that you don't have to panic when you know they're around the corner, not just sitting in traffic. But to switch from current materials and current materials that are used in the construction industry, I'd like to direct a question to Dr. Faria. Where do you see the technologies and the future taking us in the next 10, 20 years down the line in technologies that are going to advance our industry, if you will?
Yes, Eric, I would like to show an example of how technology is going to help our future workers. We have here Sean wearing an exoskeleton. So the idea of this equipment is to help the person to carry loads and also to do jobs that are giving strain normally on the back. So it supports the individual while they're doing the work. That's one example of technology helping our workers. Okay. I want to also show you an example of technology that can come and do scans, can help workers on the site, and can do automatic activities that don't require people interaction. Here is Spot, the robot, and he's bringing me some water because I'm a little dehydrated today. So it's an example of how a robot can help an individual to do the work better. That robot can be adapted with a 3D scanner, so it can scan the job site and compare production from one day to another one. It can go into confined spaces.
I was going to say.
It can go into areas where breathing may be dangerous for individuals. Grab samples, bring them to you. Can do photographic records of the job being done. I mean, the imagination is the limit in what can be done with robotic technology into construction.
That's awesome. I could see that too as a safety mechanism, like you said, going into confined spaces where it might not be the safest for us to enter, and you send Spot in to take care of whatever needs to be done, lamping and pipes and all that.
Yeah, you can program it to do automatic rounds and look for safety hazards, take pictures, scan locations. There are also radar penetration equipment that can be used to see underneath the earth what is over there before you do a excavation. So there are many, many applications of robotic into construction management that will help and enhance what we normally do today.
That's great. And thank you for bringing Spot. And
My pleasure.
I think we're basically out of time, but in closing, I just want to ask the audience if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask. Anybody want to take Spot for a walk? Okay, well, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of the
Thank you
expo.
very much, Eric. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.